Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of Monday, or actually it's Tuesday, September 6th. Just a couple things before we get started. I would like to welcome Deputy CAO Greg Peters, and Greg is covering for Daryl while he's away. And thank you, Greg and Mauricio, for last week looking after the town while he was away. So thanks to both of you. I just would like to remind everybody that school's in right now, so please pay attention to school zones and watch out for all the kids. And let's just keep our community safe. And Patrick, you have something to acknowledge regarding the cricket event this weekend.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to say congratulations to Sassy Harshini and your people involved in starting a Drumheller Cricket Club. On Sunday, they held an inaugural match at the soccer fields. Had about 24 people come out, predominantly from Calgary, and played a full match. They showed great sportsmanship, and it was a great introduction for the community to a sport that has not been played very much in the community. Councillor Zersky attended, as did April Harrison and I, and we were able to present awards. It was just a really good day.
Wonderful. I'd like to also remind everybody, community cleanup and kick to the curb is this weekend, September 9th and 10th. And as well, we're having back to our regular coffee with council is scheduled for Monday, September 12th at 10:30 to noon at the CAP ALA. So please come out and see us. And I would like to have Greg make a comment on the notice of the flags at half-mast.
Thank you, Your Worship. Everyone's most likely aware of the terrible goings on in Saskatchewan this weekend at the James Smith Cree Nation Reserve and the neighboring community of Weldon. Terrible violence, terrible crimes. It's a nationwide movement of support. Our flag was lowered to half staff, as were a great many flags in the nation's capital and across the country, in support of the people of this area who are undergoing terrible right now, still looking for one bad guy, to put it plainly. So that's why it'll be over at dusk tonight. They'll be raised back to regular standing later on today.
Thanks, Greg. And Crystal, can you make a comment, please, on the Firefighters National Memorial Day?
The second Sunday of September of each year has been designated Firefighters National Memorial Day in memory of firefighters who have fallen in the line of duty. This Sunday, the flags will fly at half-mast.
Thank you. Any additions to the agenda? Can I get an adoption to adopt the agenda of September 6th, please? Patrick?
I motion the council adopt the agenda from the September 6th, 2022 regular council meeting as presented.
Seconder, Tom, comments? All in favor? Carried. Can I get a motion to accept the regular council minutes of August 15th, please? Tony?
I move that council approve the minutes for the August 15, 2022 regular council meeting as presented.
Seconder, Crystal, comments? All in favor? Carried. And I'd like to move to 6.1, please, and RCMP Community Policing Report. We will welcome Corporal Alex McDonald. He's the acting detachment coordinator. Sorry. So welcome to council chambers and welcome to the Valley. And or been here for a while, but you just got going at the end of July, or so. We're not putting a lot of pressure on you. So if you want to give us a good overview, that'd be great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like you said, I've been here for about 3 years now, so I have a pretty good idea what's going on around town here, but I've only been in the acting detachment commander position since July, so still getting my feet wet on the more political side of the RCMP. I have the stats here with me. It's not the most exciting part to report on with the RCMP, but I'll do my best to kind of try to explain any of the big fluctuations in the different crimes and why we think, you know, certain things are up and certain things are down in the community, and if we have any areas of concern that we'd like to express. The first thing I'll go over, I guess, is the last quarter stats there for April to June 2022. The numbers that stand out the most, I guess, for us are The property crime, which I'm sure everybody kind of hears about around Drumheller. It's the minor property crimes that seem to be on the increase. It's showing a 36% change from this past quarter compared to last year's quarter at the same time. The only thing we can really contribute that to is just, COVID's over, everybody's out and about. Unfortunately, people aren't locking their cars, certain things are being stolen, they call it like a crime of opportunity, there's nothing, other than asking the public to report these crimes that we can do to, help with this kind of stuff. But we have had a lot of success lately, with our media releases and the public identifying certain people who are committing these property offenses. The next major, I guess, increase is the provincial code traffic offenses. So we did see a big increase in this last quarter compared to last year, and I think that's just due to our members being out, being more visible. We're back on track to being fully staffed, so we can send guys out on the road more often. They're not stuck behind their desk, writing up their files. The drug offenses and other federal offenses are down, and that's due to our local crime reduction unit member who transferred out just before this quarter, I guess. So when she left, that kind of dipped down. We didn't have anyone that could replace her at the time due to staffing shortages. As you've probably seen in the media lately, we have had a couple really successful drug busts and seizures. So I expect that number to go quite a bit up there in the next quarter, thanks to our new GIS corporal who just transferred into our unit in July. He's making a big impact already with just 2 months on the ground, so expecting big things from him. Let's see here. And the only other big increase there, I guess, is motor vehicle collisions, but we don't really have any say, or there's nothing we can do to really prevent the motor vehicle collisions. It's people driving recklessly, I guess, at the end of the day. And then I'll move on to the Drumheller Municipal Detachment crime stats, April to June, and it's 2018 to 2022, just to show the pattern over the last 5 years. The only areas of concern that were noted were the criminal harassment and the uttering threats charges. They went up about 100% compared to last year at the same time. And the only thing we can really contribute that to is, unfortunately, domestic violence. People are, not doing well after COVID, and it results in unfortunate situations between families, and it's nothing to be concerned about for the public. It's not random. It's usually it's happening between people that know each other. So nothing to be really worried about in that situation. And then the other major one there is the theft under 5,000, which I kind of touched on with the kind of petty thefts that are occurring. And a lot of these are just small things being stolen out of yards, out of cars, like breaking and entering into businesses to steal coins just to support habits at the end of the day. And we're hoping if we keep tackling the drug substance abuse problem, it should bring these numbers down as well. If the drugs aren't in the community, people aren't stealing things to sell them for drugs. And I think we'll see, I think that'll reflect probably in the next couple of quarters, just as we keep, hitting these drug dealers harder and harder. The supply will go down and the property crime should go down as well. But other than that, those were the major, I guess, changes between this year and last year that stuck out on the statistics. But I'm more than welcome or more than able to answer any questions you guys have about any statistics that popped out to you, I guess.
Council, you got any questions? Patrick?
Well, thank you very much for the report. I just wanted to touch on when we talk about some of the property crime and the theft under things, and often people sort of get lulled into a sense of, you know, complacency because of it and aren't often reporting these things, and the number could be much higher. But can you just sort of reiterate the importance that even if it's coins out of your ashtray to make a report? Or
Yeah, and I think people have been reporting a lot more, and we see people reporting it on Facebook first, unfortunately, and then it eventually sometimes makes it to us. But at least we know what's happening, and all I can stress is just lock your cars. Don't leave your keys in your car. That's a big one. I don't know why people don't think something bad is going to happen if you leave your keys in your car, but that's a big one. Just locking your valuables. But other than that, we want everything reported. We know all the players in town, and if a lot of people have security cameras nowadays, and they're capturing these pictures of these people, and they're going to Facebook asking, "Can you identify this person?" But really, they should be coming to us, asking to identify them, and we have been pretty successful lately with that kind of stuff. So.
Tony?
Yeah, thank you for the report. Not any questions, just I think to acknowledge, especially on behalf of the community, the recent media reports and the takedowns and the habitual offenders, I think, that we've all known for quite some time. And there has been a noticeable movement on your department moving towards that. And I thank you for that. I applaud you for that on behalf of the community, which has been a long-standing community concern. So keep up the great work and keep the focus, and thank you.
No, I appreciate that. And like I said, a big thanks to our new GIS corporal. He hit the ground running first day out doing surveillance on these guys, and it didn't take him long before he was kicking doors. And great team effort all around, guys working lots of overtime to help with these kicks. And it's just nice to actually see them go to jail for a little bit and not get released finally.
Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the report. Very well done, as usual. I just want to touch on the traffic statistics a little bit. I have had, as many people on council have had, many complaints, concerns, comments about excessive speed around town, people going through stop signs, et cetera, et cetera. And I know the traffic statistics were a little bit lower the last couple of years. So congratulations and thank you very much for your members for picking up on the traffic stuff. I think one thing people don't realize as well is that the town actually benefits from tickets that are written. I don't know if Mauricio wants to explain how that works, but that is revenue to the town. It not only makes the streets safer, but it actually gives the town revenue.
Thank you for that. And yes, we have been kind of pushing a little harder with traffic lately. Like I said, we're finally getting back up to full strength, and members have more time to go out and do this proactive work. And we have filled our traffic position again here. We miss Eric Doucette, but I don't know if anyone will ever be able to live up to his legacy, but we're trying. And yeah.
I don't think anybody will get his name.
I don't think so. It was tough during COVID time because they did kind of, like, our top brass kind of put a hamper on our traffic abilities. They didn't want us out, exposing ourselves to people and getting exposed to possible COVID infection. So
Totally fair.
and training too was a problem. Like, no one was able to go on their, get their radar course, the most basic thing you'd expect a police officer to have. So it was hard to get guys motivated to go out and really, look for this kind of stuff, but it's getting a lot better now.
Well, thank you for that. The only question I have is, you guys have started a really good working with the schools and enhancing that communication. I know it's one of your priorities. Will that continue into this next school year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All the schools have somebody assigned to it as kind of like their, liaison member who is going out there regularly and popping in and saying hi and doing
Great.
presentations and stuff like that. So
Wonderful. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, thank you for that report and good luck in your interim and we may see you here again the next presentation.
probably will, given the pace of the RCMP and the promotion process.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Alex. Okay, let's move on to 7.1, please, Greg. Request for decision introduction.
Thank you, your worship. If I can get Darian Rosario to step to the table, please. Welcome, Darian. I'd like to introduce Darian Rosario, our new full-time fire chief, to all the members of council. I believe you have met the mayor and most members of administration. Darian was hired recently as our first full-time fire chief from a wide field, extensive list of fire professionals that apply from across the country. Darian brings approximately 38 years of experience in the fire service to this position. He has served as a regional fire chief and most recently has extensive experience with emergency management and also recently served as a fire services advisor with the First Nations Technical Services Group, which is a large organization that advises First Nations on a wide variety of matters. I'm looking forward, as are others, to having Darian added to our staff, bringing his depth of experience to enhance already existing good quality of fire service to the valley. There are increased costs that have previously been discussed with council regarding the hiring of a full-time chief. This in keeping with our emphasis on public safety and overall good governance. Darian's been introduced to the members of the department, all members of town staff by email. Some have dropped by to speak with him. We intend on him becoming a very visible arm of the town as when visible to the community. A term I've used a lot in the last few weeks, the face, a reassuring face of public safety in the community. The fire chief should be well known to everyone from children to the elders and the seniors in the senior centers. The process of hiring the new fire chief was a process of human resources and administration, a very transparent process, hired outside of input or influence by council. I ask that council accept Darian. My recommendation administration, he be assuming the position of full-time fire chief for the town.
Thanks, Greg. Can I get a motion, please? Go ahead, Crystal.
I move that council accept and approve the recommendation of town administration for Darian Rosario to assume the position of full-time fire chief for the town of Drumheller.
Seconder, please. Tony, comments? Crystal?
Well, I just want to welcome you to Drumheller, and I hope your transition will be an easy one and you get to know this very well respected fire hall in this community. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Counselor. I'm very excited to be here. I've met the firefighters, or the bulk of them, or quite a few of them. Hopefully meet the rest of them tonight at their training. Yeah, very excited to be here. I think the gods are kind of with me in this case. We have sold our home in Kalmar and we have an offer to purchase here in town already. So I'm very excited to be part of the community and add me to, as you said, the great existing service that we have today.
Anybody else? Okay, so I just want to reinforce what Greg said. So so there is an HR policy. Hiring a fire chief goes through administration and stuff, which isn't a council attached, but we at the end, because we have asked for a full-time fire chief. So we have to give the recommendation and do the motion. So as mayor and council, we are looking forward to having a full-time fire chief to look after our community and the safety and a lot of the just the safety codes and inspections and get our buildings to where they're safe. And so we're looking forward. You got a big job ahead of you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to take it on and ready to go after it.
All righty. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Welcome, Darian.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council.
All right, Greg, let's move on to request for decision on CN fundraising task force.
Yes, carrying on. Thank you, your worship. Request for decision, and I believe council is aware regarding a CN Trail fundraising task force. The Town of Drumheller and CN Rail, everybody is aware, have recently completed negotiations on a long-term lease of the abandoned rail line inside the valley corporate limits. General terms of the lease include 25-year lease on all lands with an option to extend or renew the lease. Includes all rail bed and bridge structures. Only use is active transportation, trail, no motor vehicles, cars, emergency vehicles allowed. Town to develop a trail system and regarding any real stops, garbage, recycling, and the general upkeep and setting out of how it will appear and work for people. In June 2022, administration brought forward a recommendation to submit an application to TransCanada Trail for a local trail extension along the CN rail lines within the town limits. This application will be reviewed by TransCanada Board of Directors in September. The TransCanada Trail, as almost everyone is aware, attracts thousands of visitors each year. Its website showcases 15,000 connected communities through trail stories and a variety of other media posts. Creating an extension of the TransCanada Trail within Drumheller will have significant positive impacts on local tourism, brand recognition, and promotion of the valley. The proposed trail extension will provide an additional 20 kilometers of accessible trails for user groups of all abilities and ages. The trail will motivate residents and tourists to embrace the outdoors further, to discover the diversity of our lands and people, and further, hopefully, to enhance their health and well-being and to share their stories along this iconic trail network. By creating a task force, there is an opportunity for community members to help contribute to this exciting project. The recommendation, council members with the support of administration do recommend assembling a task force to raise funds for necessary items to help create a high quality and welcoming trail system for the Drumheller Valley.
All right, can I get a motion, please? Stephanie?
I move the council approve the creation of a CN Trail fundraising task force to work collaboratively with town council and administration to support the development of the CN Trail system. Members will be appointed by council for a term ending February 28th, 2023.
Seconder, please. Patrick, comments? Tom?
Yeah, task force, that's a formal organization created by the town, which has costs incurred, such as admin support and that, I believe. I guess my question, however, is the task force created will then become a nonprofit society? And if so, I know the town can give charitable tax receipts. Is this kind of the direction that this organization will be going in?
So, Tom, there was a meeting of a group of people who were interested in society, and it turned out there was people that were just more interested in developing the hills and that kind of thing. And then there was this group that was just interested in getting the CN Trail done. And because the town has to be the one that actually does the work on the CN Trail, that's why the task force is strictly a task force for the trail under the town. So it's only a temporary task force. It's quickly to hopefully raise the funds within the next 6 months and then develop the trail for next spring. And then there already is a group that's creating a trail society that can go after grants that the municipality are unable to. So hopefully that clarifies it.
Yeah, and then the town could issue tax receipts, right? Because the town
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
registered charitable. Yeah, excellent.
So we can get, so right now, just, I've got the motion on the floor. I got a seconder. I can talk, right? Yes, okay, sorry. I don't usually talk till the end. Yes, so the goal is to, actually Dave and Libby are working with, Ryan Semchuk helped us start a brochure that they're getting all the costs, so that the goal is to have a group signed by September 19th meeting. And then we'll start hitting the ground October 1st to fundraise with the brochure that they've created. Does that answer everybody's questions? Probably a lot of questions right there. Okay, anybody else? Go ahead, Patrick.
I want to just say that I'm excited to see this and that this trail system can be a universal asset for the entire community. And please, if there are people that are interested in getting involved, to please step forward. There's an application through the town website or come to the office, and we really, truly encourage it.
Anybody else? Okay, so I'll just add on to that. So we are looking for any members, you know, even if you just know a small group of people, but you can help us fundraise. The quicker we can do this, the faster we can get this trail operating. We'll be looking for donations per kilometer, for garbage cans, for shade structures, for benches. So it's something that everybody can help with. So if you're passionate about the CN Trail, please fill out a volunteer form. And even if you don't want to be part of the actual task force, work with, I know right now, Patrick, Crystal, and I are going to be the members on it from council. So get hold of us, and even if you want an umbrella under us, we just want to get this done as quick as we can. All right, anything else? All in favor? Carried. Let's move on to 7.1.3, Greg.
Thank you, your worship. Just a brief informative here piece for council. Everyone's most likely aware of increased policing costs due to RCMP retro pay and wage increase due to collective agreement. We're all aware we contract our municipal policing services to the RCMP. The town of Drumheller, as well as 47 other municipalities across the province that use the RCMP, are looking at shelling out a great deal of money regarding wage rates for the past 5 years, as well as part of a new collective agreement, and officers being paid up to 5 years of back pay. Many communities, and Maurizio and I have assembled this briefing note and been part of meetings with other municipalities where there's a great deal of concern and frustration due to these costs that municipalities have to incur for their policing services. And it's regarded by many, and some are much more vociferous than we are, but having no say at the table, weren't negotiated at all. Municipalities were not consulted as this wage increase in retro pay was granted to the RCMP. Many municipalities, frankly, have said they don't have the money. At this time, we have not been billed for any of these retro costs back to 2016, and there is some hope and some cryptic comments out of Ottawa by Public Safety Minister Mendocino that Ottawa may contribute to alleviate the burden of these costs on municipalities, but the actual decision is unclear, and there was no mention of this in the 2022 federal budget. As of now, and I can hand it over to Maurizio for like further explanation on the actual hard financials of it, we will see municipal policing costs in 2022 exceed our budget. This is due to a considerable pay increase in as much as some members receiving 20,000 or more, such as a senior serving constable earned in 2016. Presently, we are billed in our quarterly invoices for policing costs as per the new wage scale. Retroactive pay concerningly will amount to thousands of dollars for RCMP members, depending on their rank and length of service. Prior years, Maurizio has set up a liability account to us to anticipate covering these costs, but it is unclear right now what the total liability will be, and if the feds, of course, will contribute to alleviating some, as I mentioned, some of the financial burden. But these increases will impact our town budget significantly. Perhaps Maurizio could comment a little further.
Thank you, Greg. So, like Greg was saying, we receive quarterly invoices from the RCMP, and the way the RCMP year end is, they go from April to March. So basically, at the end of March is their year end. We recently received the first quarterly invoice for the new year, And when they do that, they also send us an amount for an adjustment for when they reconcile the costs for the prior year. So this year, they send us an additional 162,000 that needs to be covered for the prior year costs. So when we talk about being over budget, what it means is that part of it relates to that 162,000 adjustment that they did, but also their estimate, the estimate that we used to build the budget for 2022 was lower than the estimate, the updated estimate that they have provided now. And the updated estimate is what they are going to be using to bill us for the next 3 quarters of the year, which basically takes us up to the end of March 2023. So when we run the numbers, we are projecting that the deficit will be approximately 337,000 over the amount that we budgeted. So for us, it was really important to communicate this item to council on a timely manner, because as council, remember, I brought a quarterly report to council to provide the financials up to the end of June. And at that time, we didn't have this information. So we thought that it would be prudent to communicate this rather than wait until my next quarterly report. And not only because of it's going to be impacting this year, but it will also be impacting the next year's budget. And as you can see under financial implications in our report for 2023, what we are estimating that the amount could potentially be in the budget is $1.9 million, which will include a $100,000 contingency. Typically, we don't set a contingency for the prior year adjustment. We simply, in the past, we have simply seen it to be low enough that it can be absorbed in the budget, or in some cases, in past years, it can be a credit. So because we don't know whether it can be a credit or it can be a payment and the amount is not large enough, we haven't set a contingency. But based on what we have seen in recent years, we think that having a contingency in 2023 is something that council may consider, or we may continue to budget based on their estimate. And yeah, and as Greg was saying, this year is basically the compounded effect of the increases that have happened over the last 5 years. When it comes to the retro pay, we haven't paid that yet. We haven't been billed, so we don't know yet when that's going to be settled. We expect to know that in the upcoming months, and we'll communicate to council when the time comes. Greg?
Your wealth of positive information. Go ahead, Greg. Oh, sorry, Greg. Sorry, I'm looking at Tony. I'm like shocked. Sorry, Tony.
I'm shocked too, yes, so thank you for the briefing note, but and I'll preface my comments with the fact that I know the RCMP are worth every nickel that they're paid, and then some for the danger that they're involved in. And also clarify that I don't have a position yet on whether the RCMP or the provincial police, but just to highlight some of this stuff in your briefing note. So we're actually forecasting a 25% jump over the next 4 years in costs of policing, which equates to about 6% per year. So looking at the deficit last year, what you remember, we did a tax increase, and of that tax increase, 1% of that was required to cover the additional policing costs, which we were guessing at. Looks like we were about 4% short on our number. We should have been 5% increase just on policing costs. And if that deficit for next year, 427,000 over and above this past operating budget, we're looking at a 5% increase just to cover that off on a property tax bill. is there anything that we're looking at or preparing for? We're heading for a crisis here for sure. Are we looking at anything? Do we have flexibility to look at anything? We're running 11 on a complement now. Is there other costs in there that we should be looking at prior to getting to this budget amount?
I would never say never, Councillor Locker, but I think this is what we know at this time. If we had come forward earlier on a guess, it wouldn't have been well received that suggesting council should increase the budget or increase 5% on the tax increase without having the hard data. And I'm not trying to take credit for disaster. We're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place on, again, not to sound corny, but we wouldn't have come forward with thready information expecting council to act, to prognosticate as to what the RCD was going to come forward with. It's somewhat disappointing because the federal minister has made comments, and we were on one webinar, rather a webinar seminar with one municipality, and some municipalities smaller and less affluent than Drumheller appear to be in serious trouble as to how they would pay for this. Now, whether it would be apportioned out to them, there was some discussion that it may be apportioned out and payable over time, like a 0% loan or paid in increments when you're able to. But there are, and everything is relative, and I'm fortunate we are Drumheller. I feel unfortunate that the fact that these increases have happened, they've come across like an unstoppable wave, and somewhat out of frustration, we've had no say and no input as to how we would like our policing to go forward. What costs? What can we not do? And I know very well the hazards and the safety and the of police work and the inherent risks and all that. But the bottom line is, this is a great deal of money. And at Maurice, I brought this forward. Again, we don't have all the information, and we'll be bringing that to council as soon as we learn more. So I don't have a great answer, sir, but that's what we have right now.
Yeah, no meant to criticize. I mean, we based decisions on the best information we had at that time. But again, this is going to amount to our current running rate going forward. It has nothing to do with the back pay that is still not settled, right? So hopefully we don't get burdened with that as well. But I mean, that's a still in progress thing. So I think we need to be prepared with that'll be a run rate of 11 officers running in this town as a policing budget going forward for the next 4 years. These are the dollars we're looking at. Okay, thank you.
Patrick?
Is there a part of a lobby that we should be a part of insofar as either the retroactive pay or just operating going forward?
Well, we haven't trusted many municipalities have entrusted the negotiations and the spearheading to a group from AUMA that we will be again checking in with here in short order. If there is something that can be done by way of louder voice or taking part, I will certainly make sure we are part of that. I'll apprise the CAO and make sure council is aware. What's going on? I don't have any great answers. I'm very sorry, folks. That's really all
Go ahead, Tom.
A couple of comments. So I've been part of the Citizens Advisory Committee for many years. And on occasion, we have talked about the growing gap between the members of the RCMP pay and the increasing amount of pay for members in the City of Calgary Police Force and the City of Edmonton Police Force. And over the last number of years, that gap has widened. Which has created a whole bunch of problems for the RCMP, one of which is recruiting. The RCMP has actually recruited people, trained people, and these people have simply transferred to Edmonton or Calgary because the pay was better. So the problem to me has been that this problem has not been addressed over the last 10, 15, whatever years. And all of a sudden now the reality is coming about that holy mackerel, these people are underpaid, have been underpaid. And it's a huge shock, obviously, to kind of get them up to where they should have been, and they should have been paid more, more gradually over the last 10, 15 years. So I guess my comment, kind of like Councillor Locker, is this is too big a shock to the system for a municipality such as ours. It's not our fault that the government has neglected to gradually increase the pay of these people to where it should be, to where it would be comparable to the city centers. So I guess I have the big problem is all of a sudden we are getting slammed with this when it probably should have been addressed many years ago and implemented gradually.
Anybody else? Well, oh, go ahead, Greg.
Just to further Mr. Zarisky commented, the RCMP has done this for years before the formation of a union. There was always this unwritten kind of pledge to keep the wage of RCMP members within the top 10 in the country, whatever was the highest paid, or they wouldn't be the highest paid, wouldn't be the lowest paid, but they'd be in the relative top 10. And that's from my own experience and my own history going back over 30 years. Things have changed now with the formation of an RCMP union and a collective bargaining agreement. And members are no longer sort of serving at the whim and whatever the government, the treasury board would bequeath the members to get for a wage increase. Now it's a different, it's more hardball because there's a union involved, and there's this has now been put upon us, notwithstanding or disagree with Mr. Zarisky that perhaps the pay has been lacking, but this has been an ebb and flow over the years of the RCMP. Bring members up, pay them, and then it would fall down again before. But that's when it was at the federal, right, at the regulation of Treasury Board. Now it's a different thing, and it's union, and it's a different thing, and we are being nailed with this. And not to begrudge anybody a decent wage, but there is a degree of almost somewhat not entirely fair here to the municipalities, because there's a great deal of municipalities are unhappy with the way this process has gone. Hopefully, I keep a good thought that they will come down and cover the retro pay at least, so we can go forth with a reasonable, stable picture as to what it's going to be higher costs, which are of course not desirable, but at least we know. But this hangover heading up with the retro pay, sorry, Ms. Cooper, I'll be quiet, but that is what we would need an answer for.
No, that's good, Greg. I think for any counselors attending the Alberta Municipalities meeting in the next 2 weeks, make sure that you're talking with all other counselors. Let's figure out. I know that I've been reached by quite a few different mayors, and we all been kind of waiting for the number, and I don't think anybody expected this. So we got a lot of talking to do. So yeah, you're right, Patrick. We need to start lobbying. Okay, well, thanks for that, you guys. Let's move on to 7.2.1, please, Dave.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I could just have Kelsey and Bill come up to the delegation desk there. So what we are looking for here is a request from decision from council for the cast iron replacement program. Contract that'll be going out for this year. I'd like to introduce Kelsey Wilson. She is the capital projects manager that we've recently hired, and she will be running this project. So Mayor and Council, this is Kelsey.
Welcome, Kelsey.
I've also asked Bill to be present as manager of the utility department, since this is directly impacting the water system. So we had a program going for several years before I arrived at the town in 2019 for replacement of the cast iron system in downtown Drumheller to upgraded a new system of plastic pipes because of age and other issues with the system. We had not completed that. It was being funded partially through, or at least a bulk of it through the MSI, Municipal Sustainability, what's the I stand for? Initiative. I keep forgetting what the I stood for. We had a delay due to staff changes, my predecessor leaving, Bill's predecessor leaving, and then COVID hit us. we weren't able to keep up with the work like we'd originally planned to. This work should have been completed several years ago. However, we've been informed by MSI that it has to get completed or we'll lose the remaining funding, which is why we've made an effort to complete the work. Most of the engineering work was already previously done. We needed to just finalize some things and then send it out for tender. So it has been put out for tender. We received 3 bids back. The lowest of them is a company called UG Excavating, who's currently in town working on the Knack Mine Force Main project. The work, if awarded, the plan is to begin some work this year possibly, and then the bulk of it will be finished in the spring, because we have to avoid trying to open cut and do backfill during the winter period. There is some sections that are trenchless, however, that we might be able to get done this year prior to freeze up. So that's what we're looking for at this moment in time. This work, I believe, is under the allocated budget amounts that we have currently allocated in pre-existing budgets for this work. So we will be successful of doing the work.
Thanks, Dave. Can I get a motion, please? Crystal?
I move that council approve the award of the downtown cast iron replacement fire flow looping 2022 cast iron replacement project to UG Excavating Limited for the amount of $1,222,714.20 excluding GST.
Seconder, please. Patrick, comments? Well, get her done.
Okay.
All in favor? Good. Okay. Let's move on to Mauricio, 7.3.1, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So before council tonight is a request for decision for the appointment of our auditor for the town's auditor for the 2022 to 2025 fiscal years. The MGA requires that councils appoint an independent auditor to basically take a look at the finances that the town once a year and basically report back to council what they find. And this is a very, very important group of professionals for all municipalities, because all municipalities are required to submit audited financial statements to municipal affairs. They are also required to submit financial information return every year. So by doing this, council will be appointing an independent firm to be able to do the audit for the town. I want to quickly discuss about the procurement process. So on June 8th, 2022, we put out a request for proposal for audit services. And the reason why we had to do that is because the contract with the previous auditors ended and there was no opportunity to extend it. The previous auditors basically were not interested in continuing to do the municipal audit for the town. What they expressed is that they're having trouble with resources. They want to allocate more resources to other engagements. Therefore, they decided that 2022 would be the last year to be the auditors for the town. So we ended up having to put out a request for proposal. We received one submission and we ended up concluding that we were unable to recommend an award at that point. So we had to put out a second RFP, and that happened in July and it closed in August. During the second request for proposal, we received 3 submissions and we evaluated those 3 submissions based on a preset criteria that we had identified and let the proponents know before they submitted. And you can see that on page number 2 of my report. So basically, we consider cost, we consider experience and qualifications, the quality of the submission, and references. As part of the criteria, we evaluated them accordingly. And whoever got the highest points is the one that we basically are recommending for the CAO to award. Now, this process is a little bit different to other awards. So this is the total of this engagement is under the $250,000. So it falls within the CAO's responsibility to award. However, the appointment, the CAO cannot appoint an auditor. It has to be council. And that's why the request for decision is coming to council to appoint the auditor based on the process that we have followed. And the process that we followed is in accordance with our purchasing policy. Just to highlight a couple of more items, we are also administrating the engagements for other organizations such as the Drumheller Public Library, the Drumheller and District Solid Waste Management Association, and the Red Deer Municipal Users Group. And the Flood Mitigation Office as well. So everything is being done by the same firm. Now, when council is appointing the auditor, the council is appointing the auditor for the town. I just want to make sure that that's clear. And as I said, we have followed the proper process, and our recommendation is based on the results from following the process.
Thanks, Mauricio. Can I get a motion on the floor, Tony?
I move that council accept and approve the recommendation of town administration to appoint BDO Canada LLP as the town of Drumheller audited for the 22 to 2025 fiscal years.
Seconder, Stephanie, comments? Okay, so just, I'd just like to reiterate, because there's so many people think that we sit in all those interviews and stuff. So as council, we're appointing according to the MGA that we have to have an auditors. So that's what we're doing here, is basically saying we approve what you've interviewed and what you're recommending, correct?
That is correct, Mayor Kohlberg. Basically, we have evaluated the proponents, whatever they submitted. They're all independent from the town, so there is no issues there. They are all competent, but we basically awarded to the one that we think is the best value for the town, and the one that is capable of performing the audit requirements that we need to have.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thanks, Mauricio. All right, we are now going to go into closed session, discussion of land negotiation, which is personal, and proposal of policy options. So council, can I get a motion, please? Stephanie?
I move the council close the meeting to the public to discuss the items in section 8.1 in the regular council meeting of September 6, 2022, as per FOIP 16. Disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party, FOIP 23, local public body confidences, and FOIP 24, advice from officials.
Seconder? Crystal, all in favor? Carried. All right, everyone, thank you. And just a reminder, we do have the upcoming berm walks. So tonight is Midland at 7 o'clock if you're interested. And you can find all this stuff on floodreadiness.ca. And there's information in the Drumheller Mail. There's information online, social media. So tonight is the first public viewing berm walk in Midland. So please join if you have any questions there. Okay, we will now go into closed session, and we will not return following after this. So thanks and have a great week. Take care.